Liverpool get fed up with the Lavia chase. They're haggling over like 5 to 2 million, whatever it was. They're like, okay, enough of that. We're going for Caicedo. They agree a deal with Brighton. Oh my God, like Chelsea aren't going to get him anymore. It's all happening. And then the guy turns around and goes, actually, no, I don't want to go to you. I only want to go to Chelsea. To agree a deal that would be a Premier League record, bearing in mind, they said they didn't have the money for Bellingham.
Yeah.
Now, I know that they've sold a couple in the meantime, but to then go above and beyond after Klopp said all this stuff about big money transfers and look down on it.
Now I'll quit my job.
And then you're there agreeing a deal, and the guy, you don't even know if he wants to come to you. And then he turns you down and then decides, I'm going to Chelsea. The whole thing seems a bit of a mess. Dan, what do you make of it, mate?
Yeah, that last point that you've just made is bizarre, because that's not how transfers are done. Teams don't make it public that they're in for a player unless they're pretty sure that there's interest from that player. A lot of the times the personal terms have already been agreed. And I did think Klopp's press conference was a little bit embarrassing for him. Not his fault, but I think it was a little bit embarrassing for him that he ended up talking about a player publicly, but clearly didn't know what was going on with Caicedo and Chelsea. So that agreement sounds like it's been in place since May. And Caicedo, although Liverpool have come in and had the offer accepted, he feels that he's already given his verbal agreement to Chelsea, and he wants that Chelsea move. So Liverpool have found themselves in a bizarre space now where they've publicly admitted who their number one target was. They've made the bid, it's been accepted, but they're probably not even ever going to talk to him.
The whole thing is brutally embarrassing.
So you think to yourself, okay, we've missed up on Caicedo. We'll just go back to Lavia. Problem. Chelsea also want him. And it looks like they're going to get him as well. So you can't even go back to the other girl that you decided wasn't good enough for you.
This is what people are saying right now. On the timeline, it's saying basically they're taking the girlfriend and the side chick. Wow, bro, they taking bro, imagine. You can't believe it. You're sitting there and the problem now is the money that you said that you don't have, we all know you have it. You was about to fork out 110 million.
Oh, yeah, so every other club now has been put on notice of what you've really got.
Oh, yeah.
And also going back to the way FSG have just ran Liverpool for so long. Like, we were talking before the show about how, you know, they don't... like, can they spend money? Yes, they can spend money, but they tend not to sell players until it's too late, until the value you're going to get from them is squeezed out of them, because you've had to keep playing James Milner at that age, keep playing Jordan Henderson. And FSG have just been exposed for absolute mugs. We all know that they're not the best, but they really do look stupid. You're getting Lavia and Caicedo, Josh. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm delighted about it. We've got two of the best young midfielders, DMs, that you could ever imagine. So I'm absolutely chuffed. What I find a bit weird is that, like, we've obviously made moves for these guys beyond August, and then Liverpool coming in and they're just trying to come in at the last minute. We're hijacking the hijackers. I love it. Like, that's the fun bit. But what we've got to make a point here is that FSG are running the club really poorly, because we've made all of the ground moves to get Lavia and Caicedo in already. Joe Shields has been out there. He's best mates with Lavia. He loves Caicedo, and they've been making moves since May, right? So, I don't know how Liverpool are being run, where they think they can just come in and make a difference now in the transfer window when we've done all the but the name means nothing if you aren't courting these big level players and making them feel special. You've seen it with Bayern and Kane. They've made him feel special, and that's why he's going there. And if you don't do it with Caicedo,
even with Arteta and the job that he did on Declan Rice,
Arsenal are doing this really well at the moment. Like, your director of football and your sort of board level team, you're doing a presentation, making them feel loved and respected. And we're trying to do that with our targets as well. And Liverpool, they're just not playing in that level. They're not. I feel they're a bit naive.
They've lost
to be fair.
Is that a new piece? Is that a new piece that's happening in football in terms of that courting process with players? Because you're starting to hear people rolling out the red carpet a lot more now during transfers.
Everything's just played out in public now, isn't it? There's so many documentaries around football clubs as well, so much behind the scenes content. That stuff has become really important. And probably maybe 3-4 years ago, Liverpool's transfer policy will have been the envy of most teams, the way they did things.
They seem to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, Michael Edwards. What's happened is Liverpool have now lost a couple of their heads of transfers, the people that are looking after transfers.
Pretty sure one of them's at Newcastle.
Yeah, so they've now ended up in this kind of mishmash where Klopp's heavily involved. But I love Jurgen Klopp in fairness, but that kind of stuff isn't what he's there for, is it? He's the manager of the team. He's the head coach of the team. So Liverpool have ended up now in this weird space, and they're struggling to make moves. And also, the other teams have just got more money. FSG try and work in his self-sustained.
No, he's got money. We're not
They're
going
just
to
putting a bid for 150,
No, but
110 million pounds. They've got money, haven't they?
Commercially, they say they can't. They're not making the money that the
that's
other
their way
teams
of
are
being
making.
cheap.
Do you not think though that they've let themselves get to a point where they've let the squad deteriorate to such a degree that it's like a stitch in time saves nine. So you see other teams where they're replenishing as they're going. Okay, you're like Pep does. When you're just about heading there, we'll get someone younger in. Whereas with Klopp, I mean, letting the Milner and Hendo situation get to that point, and then he's having to go and break the bank. It smacks of we're not organised.
What I would say is that Liverpool have been very good at doing that with their front three. There's been a lot of succession planning with their front three, but that hasn't been done anywhere else on the pitch. So they've probably got issues at centre-back. They don't really have adequate backup at full-back, and they've let the midfield get into the situation now where they needed new blood anyway. They've now lost Fabinho and Henderson, who they wouldn't have expected to lose this summer. But I would have said even before they went, they needed a couple of midfielders.
Can we talk about what we sort of see happening for Liverpool this season around the table? Marvin, what are you thinking?
For me, with Liverpool, I think they may, between them and Chelsea for fourth place, I think this game would be a really good insight into who will actually make it. My immediate suspicions is Liverpool, because I think they have had a bit more consistency year on year in terms of their players. And I think Chelsea have got way too much to figure out in this season. But because Chelsea are not in Europe, it just means that they just get a free crack, and they have a very comprehensive squad to have a free crack at the league. I feel like as a club, Liverpool have failed in many, many ways, because, and this is something that Arsenal did back in the day. We said we had no money, but then we saw top quality midfielders going, like Leicester signed Kante for like 7.5, and then Chelsea signed him for 35, and we went and bought Saka for 35. So there are players and opportunities to buy players at a reasonable rate early, and they're not doing that in the right way. So their recruitment is really, really poor, and they end up overspending on players after one season in the Premier League, which is absolutely absurd. There's no comparison between Rice and Caicedo being 105, 110 million. He should not be at 110 million after one season in the top flight. And we've seen with like Cucurella and other Chelsea players, players that Chelsea have bought, they're not always going to just work at the same level.
Wait, you don't think Rice and Caicedo are on the same level?
No, I don't know.
We know that this is going to be the rest of the season, but right now they're looking at shambles in the
They'll
transfer
do something though. The funny thing is, and I get what Klopp's
It'll be
done
desperate
as well.
though, won't it?
It'll be desperation, but again, it's one of those things where we've done it in before. Like, it's been Man United's go-to, where the little cheeky phone call from Alex Ferguson, and you think the deal's going to be done. And we saw that it didn't work anymore because Jude Bellingham, we brought him in to do the Jude Bellingham one. It doesn't work. So Klopp kind of resided on, well, we're Liverpool, whoever we call is going to want to play for this club.
Oh, speaking of Jude Bellingham, I mean, that was done. He just had the fucking debut of debuts.
No,
I watched
brilliant.
his Real Madrid debut.
Wicked.
Mate, number 5 Zinedine Zidane, I was like, will he be, overwhelmed? Absolutely owned it. He was born to play. And like, we've seen him do the all-out action style for Madrid, and yet he was there, just class, silky. He ran the show. It was one of the best debuts you've seen.
He's different.
Oh, yeah, he's that guy.
And now, I don't even, like, Birmingham were laughed at when they retired his shirt number. It's worked out.
and look, just to put a different slant on it, because if Liverpool fans are watching, I don't think I'm being doom and gloom about them, because when they played Newcastle at the end of last season, Gakpo and players like him, they were ruthless, and it was one of the most frightening attacks that I've seen at St James's in years. So attacking wise, there's not a debate. They're world class pretty much. They're one of the most well backed teams in world football. But it's just the rest of it that I'm not sure about, especially with the defence, because as we've seen, Van Dijk isn't the player he was, and we just don't know what's going to be happening at the back with Trent. I mean, he's right back today. Will that stay the same way? I don't know.
Wouldn't you say though? But isn't Klopp like still probably the second best manager in the Premier League? Is that fair to say?
I'd agree with that.
Is that fair to say in terms of what he's
in the last 10 years? Yeah,
what he's been able to squeeze out that team and make them like those dangerous. Like, there was a chance of them, even though it didn't happen. That quadruple thing was on.
But isn't that the key factor why we're still considering them to be up there in the top 4? Because if you're looking purely from a squad balance perspective, they don't have a balanced squad. It's as simple as that, isn't it? So like, Klopp is, for me, is the X factor where I'm now like going, they could get in the top 4 over Chelsea, over a Man United because of Klopp.
But I look at those two teams today, the Chelsea lineup and the Liverpool lineup, and on paper, I'm looking at that Chelsea team with the 3 at the back and thinking, you know what, that's a good team, that's a good setup they've got there. I'm looking at that Liverpool one and thinking, there could be some serious holes in that team. When Trent starts marauding forward and coming into that midfield that's already a very attacking midfield, you're suddenly very open.
You got a 10 and an 11
Yeah, yeah.
in your
You have the
defensive
Chelsea
midfielder
line,
position.
Josh.
You're going to struggle.